Welcome everyone to another Tasting Room Conversations. Super excited to be here with Ben Layman, Director of Education at Penobscot Theatre Company. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So we've been connected a lot lately through my beautiful, wonderful, crazy, awesome daughter, Connemara, who has been taking part in the youth programs at Penobscot Theatre now for a lot of years.
A long time. I've known her since she was tiny, really.
I love these conversations to shine a light on things that are right in our communities that people might not know exist. And I think we've got a lot of ground to cover there with what you guys are doing at Penobscot Theatre and that sort of stuff. And I think you've got a really cool story that I'd love to dig into a little bit as much as you're comfortable with. Somebody making a go of a career and a life in the arts in Bangor, Maine.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's
an unusual thing.
It is. Let's start with Penobscot Theatre and kind of work back from there. So
sure.
Tell me about what is Director of Education at a theater? Because most people probably think, well, I know Penobscot Theatre. They put on shows. I go to a show.
Right.
Like, what does the Director of Education do?
Well, I'm responsible. Really, it's an artistic director position primarily. So, what I'm responsible for is sort of evaluating what our community wants as far as lessons, education in theater. And a lot of things that we do are for children. You know the program very well, but for people that don't know it, we do a handful of shows a year, and by that I mean 6 total for kids a year, and they perform on the main stage. And
6 sounds like it could be a small number until you think about the fact that these aren't, for somebody who's never experienced this, these are not 15-minute in your classroom theater experiences. These are full on with tech and costumes and the whole nine.
What's great about our program is that we're a professional theater company, so we feel that our pedagogy and our goal should be professional training for young actors so that they can step into a professional rehearsal process and have the tool set that they need to really succeed in that kind of environment, which is different from your average school play or church play or some of the other programs that surround us. And there are a rich number of children's theater programs in our general area.
Yeah, there are.
What sets ours apart is the quality of it, where we push our kids a little bit harder, I think, in certain areas to really explore their art form, because it is an art form, and we give them a full tech. So what you see is always amazing to me what our designers are able to do. So we have all kinds of in-house designers at Penobscot Theatre, and part of their contract is to help with the children's shows. So it's an amazing thing that they do. Like we have stunning costumes and lights and sets so that the kids can really feel what those
sword fights in this last
fights were in Treasure Island.
My daughter died. It was hard to watch. She died
brutally.
Very well.
Yes, she did. She did.
Stabbed in the back.
Yep.
Oh,
she did.
It was a tough write-in.
5 nights in a row that week. But we love our program, but we also have a program for adults. So we have classes that are, 1 or 2 hours a week where you come and you hone a certain skill set in improv. This year we're offering something in puppetry, which I think is really cool. Yeah.
Okay.
So we're calling it Come and Be a Muppet.
All right.
So that's for kids and adults to do together or separately, whatever. But the age group is pretty wide. And then we do have a set of professional improv people on our staff from Improv Acadia. They have partnered with us for a number of years. So I'm responsible for keeping all those wheels turning, but for making sure also that our students are fed the right food, I guess is the way I'll put it. And in that the shows that we select for them are achievable and also challenging, which can be a balance to strike. You've seen we did 2 shows this year, which I felt like had really intense and difficult language.
Yeah.
Treasure Island, you know, the kids were a little confused by, you know, language that we don't use anymore. It was almost like Shakespeare, and Anne of Green Gables was also a period piece, and they're very lengthy.
They were, yeah, but they were pulled off well, you know, and I think seeing the process through the eyes of Mara, it gave her things to work on. It gave her things. It wasn't just memorize lines and cues.
Right.
It was, oh, well, I need to think about, what is this? There was a conversation with her, I remember clearly, and it carried on to the way she read script in the future, and the way she auditioned for the main stage stuff later on was a conversation I had with her when she was looking at some of her lines, and she gave the line, and she had memorized it, and she gave it, and I asked her what it meant.
Yeah.
And she didn't. She's like, oh, I'm not entirely sure. So then we dug into what it meant,
right,
and then talked about how when you're giving these lines, you're not just saying words, you're expressing emotion, and you're giving feelings, and she, through that process, was able to really develop and implement that thought process through the work you guys were doing in that play.
What's really interesting to see is that we call what you're talking about dramaturgy in the world of the theater, where you really explore what the text means, how it's all connected, and what the character journeys are. But you also have to kind of, and this is something that it's hard to get the kids to commit to, but when they do, it helps to grow their sense of empathy kind of out in the world, to think about what they, you know, to consider someone else's set of feelings, even if it's something you haven't been through before, and to kind of imagine what it would be like. So, you know, when you walk into a character, you have to know all the things that came before.
Yeah.
And you have to sort of be aware of where it's going to end with the information that you have on paper, and then forget about that end of it. So it's interesting to see the kids respond to that and start thinking about it, because then they start thinking about each other more, and they kind of come out of that. And like I said, it's a sense of empathy.
Something I want to shine, why can't I think of the name of the show? The name of the show with the two women in the...
Ripcord.
Ripcord.
The nursing, it wasn't a nursing home,
Yeah, but
a
like
residential
retired.
home.
You played like a bunch of characters in that.
I played 3 different people in that one.
What you were just talking about with the empathy and the emotive quality, you played some fun roles in that one.
Yep.
Some crazy roles in that one. The clown's still gonna, give me nightmares for a while.
Yeah, there wasn't a lot of research into the feelings of the evil clown.
Yeah, there should not have been. But
it was just about the chainsaw.
The work you did as the son that had been battling addiction.
Yeah.
I just to shine on you a minute. I thought it was fantastic.
Thank you.
And in that moment, watching that show, thinking about what my daughter's doing with these youth programs, and thinking about the world a little bit, it was a really positive feeling for me to see that we have theater in our community that is giving voice to some really important issues and things.
Yeah.
So, and I think that's undervalued in what Penobscot Theatre does and what all of the arts do in our communities. You're right, it's going off the point that you were making of giving these youth a deeper level of ability to have empathy.
Yeah.
And read emotion and understand that, that character you played, I think, for people who maybe are going through that scenario or are the family members of people going through that scenario, you put out a character that was easy to touch and experience and said some really good things without having to make a big, long statement about it. And I think, that's for me. Now I'm going on this long monologue, but I joked with my wife as we sent Connemara as think a 5-year-old to the tiny thespians. I said, you do realize we're teaching her how to lie better.
How to lie professionally, right?
Not entirely true. She was already very good at that.
Yeah, most kids
true.
are.
She's fantastic. But the reality is, I think there's a huge value in exactly what you're saying, teaching that, giving those relatable moments, giving those safe spaces for people to explore feelings and emotions and thoughts.
One awesome thing about theater, and this goes for adults or kids, if you're taking an adult class, there's a sense of, everyone's included, everyone's set of needs is taken into account. And that's something that doesn't happen with a lot of, or all group activities, like some of those things aren't celebrated.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if you are on a sports team and you have something that holds you back, it's not celebrated as something you can lean into. It's something to conquer. And this is, we take differences and we kind of celebrate them in this way that allows you to explore that person's journey. Like, what is their set of circumstances? And so if you shine a light on that, and you see it as an audience member, you might understand something that you didn't before, which leads you to have a different opinion about something that needed a little more understanding in your heart maybe, or, that you just didn't know before.
And I think, you played that role very well, and your mother in the show played it very well.
She was
as
amazing
well.
to work with. I was intimidated by her at first because she's so good. And then I was like, wait a second, I'm good too. But she was so welcoming, and we did a lot of talking because it was just such a little by meaning short period of time on stage. It was probably a 4-minute scene, but it was just her and me for most of it, and it was just it's a scene I don't get to play very often, and compared to the other two characters who were just cartoons, which is so fun, like you can go out and play these big personalities, and that's another thing that's great about our program, is seeing kids being brave enough to take those chances and be that big, because it feels so strange in your body when you start doing that, because you don't do that in the produce section at Shaw's, like you just don't, you don't do it. So to see them take the chances to do it and learn how, to grow that way is interesting too.
So 51 Maine, let's get there as well, because we've talked about the youth programs, or the education programs, entirely not just youth, though I have that mindset in a lot of ways because my daughter's the one doing it.
Well, we have the name Dramatic Academy, and the forefront of what you see, or what the public sees, is us advertising youth shows. So I think that people might not know that we do other things, but we do classes for adults. They change up every year. Last year we offered a scene study and monologue class for beginning actors, or people who just wanted to kind of get comfortable in front of people. So it's not just for actors either. That's the important thing to realize too, I think, is that we love it when people come in with 0 experience level, and they just want, like, they have to do a lot of public speaking in their job, and they're just trying to get comfortable being in front of people, that kind of thing. So this year, like I said, we're serving some improv, which is really fun. And the people that are doing it are really, really like top professionals in what they do, which is interesting because they're in Bar Harbor, Maine. Which is amazing to me that we have like this rich artistic population here. We truly do.
And that's the heart of what I want to get to with all of these conversations. We have so much talent in our state.
It's very true.
In so many different things. Crafters, artists. There are some incredible business people that are doing wonderful things, transforming what's like. There's just
enriching
so
downtown.
Much happening. And so Improv Acadia tied to Penobscot Theatre through this. The improv classes, I mean, those piqued my interest because I have, for a lot of my younger life, spent quite a bit of time in theater and loved it, absolutely loved it. A point you made of connecting. I mean, I spent a lot of time in sports as well, and sports are great for teams and those sorts of things, but theater is so different. It is so different, but so similar in that you you are a team. You are connected.
Yeah.
You are completely connected as a team.
And that's,
but there is that mentality of truly lifting people up. Nobody's competing for minutes.
No.
Nobody's competing. Everybody's supporting.
Right. And you really can't do it. I mean, you can't achieve your goal without everybody doing what they're supposed to do. It is like a sports team that way. And it's deeply rooted in our pedagogy to teach the kids to really consider each other. So when we start in a room in rehearsals, it's because, you know, kids of a certain age, I'm going to say like 3rd grade to 8th grade, it can be a very isolating and insular experience. Like, you know, like the kids are like, they have kind of blinders on to what's going on, and you have to kind of like remove those and be brave enough to look at your whole team and carry people, lift them up with you when they're scared or you know, whatever, because you can't tell the story without each piece of it.
Yeah,
So,
every piece. And every piece has the potential for a positive expression as well.
Right.
And every piece in a show can build it up. Can entirely build it up. You know, there have been many shows that the character that plays in my mind the most is somewhat a minor character.
Yeah.
But is given the right space, is given the right right life to it.
You know, I mean, it's very true that 2 minutes on stage can change the course of someone's opinion. It can change the play that you're working on. You know, like you can't ever. There's the old adage, you know, no small parts, only small actors. You hear it 1,000 times when in relation to theater, but it's absolutely really true. You know, you can make a world of impression in a very short window of time. You just got to be willing to do it. You know, so
take that leap. When I saw the improv stuff coming through, I was very intrigued. I have not jumped in yet.
You should.
I say yet because I think it will happen someday.
You should jump back.
Because I use skills that I've been able to you know, build into my life from my time in theater, but what I miss is that full-on, this is acting, and this is an expression.
And there's nothing like it, really. Like, that's why I got into this and why I kept doing it, because there was nothing else. You know, there's nothing else like this sense of like accomplishment that happens live in front of people. It's so different. I mean, I've done stuff for camera too, and that's fun, but it's fun in a whole different way. It's very disconnected. It's not organic. It doesn't happen in a linear fashion, but you know, a play in front of people live is one of the most terrifying things that you can do. It takes a lot of bravery. It takes a heck of a lot of stones to get up and do it. And so when I see the kids achieving it and really working like actors and showing that bravery, it's really impressive. Because it's something that takes a while to get comfortable.
And it's a skill set that's gonna serve you well in life. Whether
keeps you comfortable in front of people and the ease of like communication.
And in every communication, just like every day in your life, just like every show you've ever been in, something doesn't go the way you thought it was going to go.
And you have to just keep
you have
trucking.
to adapt.
That's and not freak out.
You keep it rolling.
You know, you have to not freak out, because on stage, if something goes wrong, you have a window of a couple of seconds to make a decision. And your decision either lets it carry on or stops it dead. So you have to, you know what I always tell the kids when I'm directing them, that like, don't correct it, walk through it. And that's what you have to do in life too, is sort of just like, okay, look at what's there and fix it. Figure it out. Figure out how to move forward. So
I play drums a little bit as well, and I love that artistic expression. But again, it's so different. It's so different. Theater, though, with the ability to express and also explore, you know, explore yourself a bit.
It is. It's a safety net, if you will, because it isn't you, but your character might have a set of certain, it might be nothing like you or anything you ever really wanted to explore, but you will have explored it, and so you have empathy for someone you see that might have that situation. Or you have a set of circumstances within that character that you're like, oh wow, you discover something about yourself, or you have a chance to, you have the knowledge walking in, this is very similar to something I'm dealing with, and I can live in this skin safely without having to really discuss it. So it is beneficial that way in growing your soul stuff, your spirit stuff. So without getting too hokey pokey, but
no, it's cool. Like, no, I get it. I get it entirely, and I love the potential that it gives. So Penobscot Theater has added this space, 15 Main Street.
We've had
let's talk about the space a bit.
Yeah, it's it's adjacent to Knapp's Music.
Yep.
And we got this building 2 years ago. We've been in there for 2 full years. It's been fully renovated, so it's inside. There's a little 40-seat black box theater that we're going to start doing special events at this year, starting in the fall. We've got a story hour coming for families, but also one-off shows, cabarets, comedy events, music, things like that, but that are geared towards our local artists who don't get enough stage time on our regular stage. As we have like this rich community of super talented people. That we have all these wonderful venues for exploration in Bangor, and we're just one more of those. But we also do all of our classes there. So we have a full classroom in the back. So it's kind of split in half, this space. But it is a huge, wide open, awesome space for staging plays. It's really comfortable there. So we're delighted to have our education space be dedicated, and then whenever we do shows with the kids, we move them, as you know, we move them up onto the main stage so they don't perform there. But we are hoping to get all kinds of wonderful things going in there as far as one-off shows are concerned.
That's killer.
Yeah,
I like that.
Yeah,
that's going to be really exciting. So let's shift gears a little bit. We'll close with ways that people can get connected to all this. I want to make sure that everyone can get there. But you're a talented guy. You've got a lot to offer. I'm thrilled that you're offering it in this area for my own personal entertainment, because Lindsay and I have said you are no offense to anybody else who has done this, but you're the best Santa I've ever seen.
Thank you.
You rock that.
Well, it was a lot about the hair and the beard too. That whole kit, it was eyebrows, mustache, beard, and hair. All of it cost almost $1,000.
Wild. Well,
it was.
You don't play it off entirely on the costume, but it was a great costume.
It was transformative, though. It was pretty cool.
Yeah. So I thoroughly thrilled that you and many people like you are in our community and calling the Bangor area, calling Maine home. That's not what you think of. When you think of, I am somebody who wants to be an artist, what was your journey like? Why are you here in Maine?
Okay.
And give me a little of that.
Yeah, how did this happen?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, well.
What's the deal?
Well, when I was a kid, I didn't get into acting seriously until I was a teenager. I did church plays and school plays, and I knew that I liked it and had fun with it. But I didn't ever really think that was a realistic career choice. I don't think I ever really thought, I could do this and make a living at it. I didn't really think about that, but I had fun with it. And then in high school, my thinking started to turn over because I realized it was, something that I loved more than anything else. And I do other kinds of art too. I paint and draw and those kind of things, but they never really stuck with me the way that performing did, or it was just in my blood. This is what I wanted to do. I decided that when I got ready to go to college, I decided I would stay very local. I went to Narragansett High School. I grew up in the little towns surrounding that. I spent a lot of time in Machias, so I decided to stay close to home, and I did 2 years at the University Extension in Machias. And I was doing courses to become an English teacher and, doing like a theater minor, which they offered. And still that stuff was more important to me, so I decided that I was gonna stop. I was gonna stop spending money and moved to Boston. So that's what I did.
Yeah.
Which
Which is a reasonable thought for that position.
So I worked for a number of years and did as much community theater as I could and saved up enough money where I felt comfortable to leave. And then I went and I started training in Boston. I started taking every course I could get my hands on, every workshop. And I started getting cast in things and started getting professional gigs, but always, like in very small parts. And it takes a long time to really establish yourself. So I spent 8 years in Boston, and I was just starting to really gain some momentum. I was earning equity points and that kind of thing. And then my mom got seriously ill, terminally ill, terminal cancer. And so I came home and I worked, my mom eventually passed, and I was here for that amount of time. And then I just decided that, that I wanted to come home. And I always knew that, like, Maine is in my blood too. That's something I definitely want to say, is that, like, I love this state. I don't think now I'd want to live anywhere else. Honestly, we complain about our weather and it's hard to live here.
It's one of the beautiful things. We have so much to complain about.
But it's a gorgeous place, and all of our wilderness is really what keeps me around, because that's actually a big part of my spirit as well.
Yeah,
is like I like to do stuff outside. I like that stuff. So, but definitely felt like home, and I spent a summer trying to decide, am I staying here, am I going back to Boston and back to the grind? And it just seemed unfathomable to me to pick up where I'd left off. I felt like my whole world had changed. Yeah. And it really did. It's a life-rocking event to lose a parent, especially when they're young, like they're before their time. So I got asked by the Grand Auditorium in Ellsworth to run their summer program for a summer. And all of a sudden, something turned over in my brain about teaching kids. Yeah. And I was like, I really like doing this. This is really fun, and I'm good at it, and whatever. And so that was 13 years ago. And my friend Heather Libby, who's also a star at Penobscot Theatre, she's in Mamma Mia right now. She's been a friend of mine for over 20 years, like 25 years. And she encouraged me to come to Penobscot Theatre with her because she was in a concert version of Anything Goes, and they needed one more guy who could sing high. And I was like, all right, fine. And I just wasn't in the mood for it, but I came and I found this family. Yeah. And the next thing I knew, I was doing this performance, and it was fine, but I was kind of I was in a space where I wasn't really attached to anything. And the director of education at that time said, hey, Heather tells me you know about Shakespeare. And I was like, oh, geez. I'm like, yeah, I do. I love Shakespeare. She's like, can you teach it? And I was like, So then that led to a teaching artist gig, which led to, just kind of weird the way things happen, but I was a teaching artist, so freelance gig here and there every few weeks. And I was working at Borders back when it was still in existence. And they offered me a full-time position at the box office because I'd done customer service work before, waiting tables. I didn't do so I wound up doing that for 7 seasons and being on stage and doing teaching artist gigs. And then I've been with the Dramatic Academy program as a teacher, as a director for those 13 years. Yeah. And so this year, the director of education job came open, and it just seemed like the next natural step for me. I'm like, I'm not leaving this company anytime soon, obviously. But it's been a great fit. I'm really enjoying it, and I love our program. I love our kids. But what blows me away is that I can do this in Bangor. And I don't think I could have done this in the same way in Boston or New York, or it's a grind. And I know friends that have done it and are successful and are working and are on Broadway and that kind of thing, but it still seems like a grind to me. And I'm here in the place that I love, with my family in my back pocket, and still doing what I love. And I'm able to not only like fulfill my own needs as an artist, like getting on stage as an actor, because that's obviously something that's I love. But I'm able to do that, but I'm also able to enrich, the fabric of our artistic community through what we do at PTC with the kids, as in it's really awesome for me to see kids that I've worked with for years, graduate and go on to really awesome, prestigious acting programs, or get on our main stage.
Yeah.
There are a handful of teenagers in Mamma Mia right now, and they're doing their first professional gig outside of our program. And they all just started in Les Mis last year, and they were they're incredible kids. And I'm like, I don't know, what more can you want?
Well, yeah.
You know,
yeah.
really, how it doesn't get much more satisfying. So I feel really lucky.
And to be implanted in a community that's still a true community.
Yeah, it is. It's amazing. Like even just the downtown portion of it.
Yeah.
If I just think about how comfortable it feels to be downtown every day and work downtown, just from going into like Fork and Spoon and getting coffee, or from, you know, like chatting with Summer who owns Valentine's Shoes next to us. You know, like, I mean, it is like a little family.
Yeah.
You know?
Entirely. And it's changing and growing and developing in some really awesome ways, I think. I mean, you know, Penobscot Theater has been a thing for quite a long time.
Yeah, it's 45 years old.
Yeah. But you look at it over the last decade or two, and it has developed.
We had 2 artistic directors in a row. I feel like Scott Levy, who was Barry Newport's predecessor, he was really committed to engaging the community of Bangor to think of Penobscot Theater as their place, as a destination place for them, and not just something, because it feels like, you know, we hear professional theater company and it seems like it's not accessible to everybody, right? That word for some reason is like, oh, well, it's fancy, or it's this or it's that. And it's well done. It's super, super well done. Our shows are beautiful to look at, but it's not accessible to everybody. You know what I mean? Like, it's absolutely for every person in Bangor, you know, and the surrounding communities. And Barry has done the same thing.
And it's so cool, I think it's so cool to have the sort of dual approach of Penobscot Theater brings in talent from away. But in the same time, opens up opportunities for local people to join in. You know, if you are watching this and you think, man, that sounds really cool, I'd love to express myself, I'd love to, young or old, Dramatic Academy is a place to hone those skills. And then step up and audition, right?
Well, and that is the natural next step. I mean, we see a lot of our students, adult students specifically, who come and take our monologue and scene study class or our audition class, or especially improv. But improv is so good for so many things, as far as like getting comfortable in front of people, or being part of that team, or even like engaging your brain, like for brain help. But you know, we see a lot of those people come through our general audition, and some of them get on stage. I mean, I think it's always a thrill for me to see that happen, because that's kind of the point of what we're doing, is so you can grow in that world. Or they step outside, and we have a ton of really awesome community theater too, that is of really great quality, in my opinion. I mean, like, it's kind of amazing. We have several groups, and I see our students on stage in those productions. It's great. It's fantastic. I mean, there's a lot of cool stuff going on. Penobscot Theater is definitely a hub of a lot of what's going on. And you, as director of education, play such an important role in all that. And so, from my perspective, I'm so happy that you are calling Bangor area home. Thank you.
And I know my daughter definitely is. She loves you, and she's gonna keep being a wonderful, beautiful thorn in your side for some years to come, I'm sure.
Yeah, she turns 10 today, right? So there's 8 more years, conceivably.
And who knows? I mean, she might be one that keeps going after those main stage shows.
And she should, you know, like, it's hopefully we'll all be together.
You never know.
You never know.
You never know, but that's awesome. Let's cover if people are looking at this, what's the best way for people to reach out to Penobscot Theatre, to reach out to you, to see?
To reach out to me specifically, the best way to find me and to get your question answered right away is through the education email.
Yep.
I'm always checking it, so it's just education@penobscottheatre.org.
Yep.
.org.
Great.
.org.
And
and you can also look on the website,
Yep.
which is just www.penobscottheatre.org.
Okay, we'll put that link up, and you can find all
There's
this.
a calendar for 51 Main Street.
Great.
There's a calendar of all of our events and a separate listing for classes as they come.
Right
so,
on.
yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
I really appreciate your time. Wonderful conversation. I'd love to have you back anytime we want to talk about more stuff, what's going on, and all that. Until then,
right.
Cheers.
Awesome.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. Yeah. Thanks.